99 questions about the college football season. We've been asking one per show since there were 99 days to opening kickoff, and we're going to keep going all the way up to kickoff. Not just ACC kickoff, which starts today and will be in attendance tomorrow in Charlotte, but kickoff to the actual first game. We'll be asking a question each day. Today, though, it has to do with ACC Media Day kickoff. What do we want to hear from each team in the triangle, right? What could be the thing that we would notice at the at ACC kickoff that would give us the most confidence in NC State, Duke, or UNC? I'm going to give you an example from last season. And Dennis, I think you can co-sign this for me.
Okay.
When Riley Leonard walked into the room, it was a commanding presence. Like, I would say that year was only matched by Drake May and Dabo Swinney.
Yeah.
When Riley walked in, went, oh, okay.
Like, oh, this guy.
Kind of ready for his close-up, right? Like, you could tell he walked in, owned the room, moved like he was the groom at his wedding. Like, I know everybody's looking at me, and they should be. And I remember thinking that's very, very good for Duke. And then, of course, the first game, he has a 40-yard touchdown run, highlight up the right sideline to seal it against Clemson. And I'm going, yep, that's the confidence I saw at ACC kickoff. So I thought, like, what vibe, what presence, what thing could I notice about one of the three teams from the triangles, or all of the three teams from the triangle, at ACC kickoff that would make me more confident going into week one? Dennis, what team shall we start with?
Well, you mentioned Duke. Let's go with Duke.
It needs to be, I want to notice that everybody truly, and this is one of those, like, you got to kind of shake their hands and look them in the eye. Everybody truly believes in what Manny Diaz is selling. Because it's been a long time since Duke reached the heights that they reached under Mike Elko. And I wouldn't be surprised if some players wanted, like, a Mike Elko disciple to take over, right? You want to keep that system. You want to keep things rolling because you reached the top, whatever it was, 16 in the AP poll, and College Game Day was there, and you took Notre Dame down to the wire, and you beat Clemson, and you did all these cool things, and you wanted to build off it. Instead, the program went in a different direction. Went and hired Manny Diaz. And the hard part is, you got to buy into that as hard as you bought into the Mike Elko program, right? It's a different coach, a different way. He's going to be different. He's going to do things differently. It's the buy-in that has to be the same.
Especially from guys that are seniors that were recruited by David Cutcliffe, then played under Mike Elko, and now have Manny Diaz coming in. Like, those are the guys you really have to sell.
Exhausted.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, gosh. I know you guys talked about it yesterday. I talked about it on Friday with, like, Riley Leonard. Is that, or maybe it was Friday, not yesterday. Goodness, they all run together. But Friday with, like, Riley Leonard leaving, he's that same boat. He was recruited by Cutcliffe, also played under Elko, and it's like, you know what? For my last season, I kind of want to control what my situation is as opposed to being dictated to me. So I think that's something that you need from the buy-in from the seniors.
Seniors and basically anyone that was on the team last year. It's going to be easy for the freshmen and the incoming transfers because
that's all they know.
Yeah, Manny Diaz is Duke's coach to them.
Yeah, even Lake Murphy's like, who's Mike Elko?
I worry that at some point, especially if they hit some adversity, there might be an internal, maybe subconscious vibe of like, this isn't how we did it with Elko, and Elko got us College Game Day in Durham, and it was awesome, and we beat Clemson, and now you're changing everything. I don't know why you're doing that. And it's like, well, he has to because he's him. Meaning he's himself, not he's him, like the new slang. Like, I'm him. What team do you want to go to next?
Let's go with NC State.
NC State, and the irony of it is I had this same exact thought for NC State basketball last year.
Okay.
I want to see genuine closeness on the roster from everybody, right? And obviously a football roster is bigger, so it's not like, every wide receiver is going to be best friends with a backup linebacker. But they have a lot of transfers on this roster.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't want it to be like the here's and the new guys, like the returners and the new guys. Like from Remember the Titans, like, We've got an end position and 2 guards. We don't need any of the new guys on defense. We've already got it all settled.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't want to be the returners and the incomers. So, like, I want inside jokes, right? I hope they play college football 25 together. I hope somebody's having a barbecue in the back of their or a cookout in the back of their off-season or off-campus apartment, and everybody's invited, right? We talked about it basketball season with oh goodness, I'm blanking on his name. Point guard for NC State this past year.
DJ Horn.
No. The veteran came from University of Virginia, played 3 years at NC State. Casey Morsell.
Yeah.
I'm going to describe his whole life story before I got there. Casey Morsell said, as a veteran leader, he took it upon himself to make sure all the incoming transfers were included in everything. And as someone that had been a transfer, he kind of took that on. Somebody needs to do that for NC State. For the football team. They need to be friends quickly. Because basketball, right, they waited until the postseason to get everybody on the same page. Football can't wait that long.
No.
It's got to be from the jump. And then lastly, UNC. I'm fascinated by UNC. It seems like, and Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
They're in a legit quarterback battle.
Seems like it.
Like old school, nobody really knows who's got the edge. I want to make sure I don't sense a divide. Right? I want to make sure, like, Connor Harrell isn't always walking with the same teammate and Max Johnson isn't always walking with the same teammate. You know what I mean? Like, there's, I used this example earlier today on the Adam Gold show, and trust me, as I say often, we're not going to get political, but you don't want the locker room to feel like there's 2 political parties, right? Like,
I choose a side.
I vote Harrell, and I always vote Harrell, and that means that I'm anti-Johnson. Or I vote Max Johnson, and that means I'm anti-Harrell. You don't want that vibe. You want everybody to kind of be able to pull for both, even if one of them's your best friend and the other one is a guy who you don't know that well, or you don't vibe, you don't listen to the same whatever, you don't watch the same TV shows, so you don't have much in common. It's like there's dynamics that come with a quarterback battle that can get testy, and so I want to see if they're pulling off the very difficult maneuver of having like a true all-out quarterback competition, yet there's not a divide in the locker room. If you can pull that off, it's impressive. It means you have a very healthy locker room.
When I was coaching and playing with lacrosse in college, it was sometimes a goalie battle.
Very similar.
And it was a similar type thing, but sometimes we even told our team this, sometimes goalie we could play sometimes depending on matchup, because depending on who we were playing, whatever that we needed for that game specifically, we can actually go with the 2 like goalie system. I know it's harder to do that with football, but that was actually something that we would implement.
Sometimes that's a trick coaches use where they'll say like, hey, no matter who ends up starting, you're both going to have a role.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because if one's more of a drop back, one's rushing, you can hey, there's going to be a package of plays in the playbook for each of you regardless. And that can take some of the edge off, because then you don't feel like, if you make a play for quarterback A, that you're messing over quarterback B. You know what I mean? Like if you're in a scrimmage and you make a highlight reel catch, well, heck, you may have just helped one quarterback get the job. And if that other quarterback is your friend, that's a weird thing. So, knowing they're both going to have a role sometimes allows it so it's like, hey, you're still going to play. Like it gets confusing. And
also, as well as what's the confidence level of the players on the field with the quarterback, or in my situation was in lacrosse, it was the goalie. There was a goalie that I had my freshman year who was extremely talented in a couple areas, but was very, let's say, lacked in a few others. And our confidence was more like in an older goalie, because of just he was able to keep things calm out there on the field. May not have been as good of a ball stopper, but the confidence on the field when he was out there was much higher for everybody.
And that was into account.
And then, that was kind of the thing that our coach had to try and weigh, was like, well, this one guy might be slightly better, but the confidence, like everyone else plays better when this other goalie's in. So it was just, you have to weigh that kind of stuff in there too.
And yeah,
it's a delicate balance.
Could we get that confidence to the other guy? And if not, it's the equation. Like you got, it's tough.